Hello everybody, hope you're having a great day. Well, it's the holiday season and most of us have company coming over, and so it's a good idea to be able to make a large batch of biscuits. Here we have 16 big buttermilk biscuits and I want to show you how to make them. You want to get out a big bowl and to that add 4 cups of self-rising flour. You can use regular flour, but you have to add baking powder to it. And then I have butter. And I had it in the freezer for about an hour before I started. And I'm going to put a stick and a half of butter and grate it in like this. It's really simple to do. This is just easier, especially when you're making a large quantity of biscuits like I'm doing today. So you grate it in like this. And then when you still have that butter in your hand, go ahead and butter your baking pan. So I'm going to go ahead and get that completely covered with a thin coat of the butter, just like that. Okay, now it's time to stir that butter in, and you just stir it around and try to get those pieces all separated and coated in the flour. And just take your time, it's really easy to do. And in this video I'm going to really take it slow and show you in a detailed way how to do it so you can have success. Then you make a well in the flour and pour in 2 cups of buttermilk. Delicious buttermilk. Now in the grocery store, we often have a choice between non-fat and regular. This is regular buttermilk. Use that if you can get it. So anyway, you can also use regular milk, but regular milk is a little thinner than buttermilk, and so you would need a little bit less than 2 cups. So we want to start bringing the flour and milk together. And this is really the secret to making good biscuits. It's the technique that you use. The ingredients are pretty much standard, but it's how you bring them together. And I want to show you in precise detail, so I'm not going to speed it up or jump ahead. And of course that means it might be a little boring if you're just here to be entertained by watching someone make biscuits. But if you really want to learn how, and that's who these videos are for, then I want to show you exactly how it's done so you can see how slowly and gently I'm just moving the flour around, not really stirring it, because I want to let the flour absorb the buttermilk at its own speed. And so we just take it nice and easy. I'll shake the bowl and let that dry flour come over the wet dough. And again, we just move it around. You're going to love these biscuits, I promise. If you've had trouble making biscuits in the past, if you'll do exactly like I'm showing you, you can make great, moist, and tender buttermilk biscuits, and they are so delicious. So we just keep gently turning the dough over, moving it. I love biscuits, and most people do, and I love being together for the holidays. So when you get it about to this stage, it's time to get your hands in it. Make sure your hands are nice and clean. And I begin to move the dry flour from the bottom and try and bring it up to the top. And if you notice, I'm not really even pressing it. I'm just moving it in, turning it over. And you want to keep the dough as light as possible, and that's how you have light biscuits. Most of the time, the problem comes when you overwork the dough or you compress it too much. We're going to have to press it to cut the biscuits out, so we want to just work it as little as possible, really. Now you can see that it's not even sticking together that much. It's still very crumbly and it falls apart. A lot of people grew up watching their mother or grandmother do this, and they learned how. Some watched but never did learn. And so I want to help you with that. We go ahead and take what's dry and put it on top and push it in just very slightly, very gently. There's something so special about making your own biscuits, making homemade biscuits. And the buttermilk tastes so good. But if you don't like buttermilk, again, you can use just regular milk. And you can use regular flour. This is white lily flour, self-rising flour. And most agree that it's about the best you can use for biscuits. I want you to see how this is starting to come together. Very easy. You just have to let it take the time that it needs to come together, and try not to force it too much. So there you can see it's starting to hold together. All of it's holding together, but it's still not tightly compacted. I don't know a better way to express it to you. So I'm just gently pressing it so it stays together. And we'll go ahead and rub off the excess on my fingers. Okay. Now we want to put some flour on your countertop or wherever you're going to make the biscuits, and just turn out the biscuit dough. As you can see, we've used just about all of it. Bring the bake pan over, and now we're just going to use our hands. You can use a rolling pin if you want to, and that's fine. It works great. A lot of people do. We begin to push it out and then fold it over. And this is how you get the layers. Gently press it out, and you can see that it's not too sticky. It's not really sticking to the counter. It's not really sticking to my hands. The rule of thumb is you want it as sticky as you can get it, as wet as you can get it, without it sticking all over your fingers. And so you just press it, and you turn it, and you fold it over. You want to make sure it's not sticking on the bottom, and that's why you turn it upside down. We can see when just kind of pressing it out, taking a good look at it. And this is where you get to decide how thick you want your biscuits. And it's also a good idea to figure out how many people you're trying to feed. Now, I'm only going to make 16 out of this, but if I had more people and needed more, I would make them a little thinner so I could make a larger quantity. And so you could make 20, 24 biscuits if you wanted to. They just wouldn't be quite as thick. So we get them pressed out like that, and then get a biscuit cutter, put a little flour on it, and press straight down. Now this is straightforward, so I'll just speed it up a bit because we just cut them out, put them on the bake pan. Very, very simple. The biscuits are about 1 inch thick, and they'll rise up to about 1.5 to 2 inches. It just depends. Now once you cut out all you can, you bring the pieces together like this, and again you want to not work it any more than necessary. So we turn it over and press it together, and get that biscuit cutter and repeat the process. This is really the simple stage. Again, it's how you brought the ingredients together to make the dough. That's what determines whether your biscuits are going to be light and fluffy or kind of heavy. You want nice tender biscuits. There we have 16 biscuits. Now I've preheated the oven to 450 degrees. You want it nice and hot, and we'll put them in, and you can set a timer for about 15 minutes. And while they're cooking, I'm going to make some honey butter, because there's nothing much better than honey butter on a biscuit, but people like all sorts of things, gravy and jelly and whatever you like. You just make it the way you like it. Now this butter is room temperature, and so it's nice and soft. You can't really do this with cold butter. And you just stir it together until it becomes nice and creamy. There we go. Delicious honey butter. Now those biscuits are ready. Beautiful. Now I've melted some butter, and I'm going to put some on the top of each of these biscuits. And they're not real golden brown. They're lightly brown, and that's what you want, because if you let them go too far, they dry out, and you want nice, moist, flaky biscuits like this. Oh, take a look at that. Beautiful. They pull right apart, piping hot, and ready for some of that delicious honey butter. We'll put that on. Oh, there's not many things better than this. Let me have a bite. So good. I tell you what, these are some beautiful biscuits. Let me let you have a closer look at one. Take a look. You see how that pulls apart? Can you tell it's nice and soft and moist and tender? Delicious biscuits. So when you bake them, don't bake them too long because they dry out. Look how beautiful and big this biscuit is. Almost half the size of my finger. Absolutely delicious. Well, there you have it. 16 big, beautiful, delicious buttermilk biscuits that are easy to make. You can do it. I promise. Do it just like this. Hey, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye now.